Hey there, welcome back. Marius here, and today we have, yes, Baldur's Gate. And my question for today is what went wrong? And you're not in some other reality. This is the same Baldur's Gate that absolutely everyone loves. It is super highly rated and everything is amazing. But there's one thing that went wrong, in my opinion, and I'm gonna unreveal everything as fast as I can so there's no delay, nothing. So let's start with simple thing. Don't get me wrong, as I said, you see the ratings 96% all the time. It's absolutely overwhelming positive. One of the best games ever. I've played it, I love it. I love it. And Larian Studios did everything amazingly. But one thing. So the one thing that, in my opinion, at that time, I don't held any grudges, nothing. Let's do the exercise with me. At that time, there was a decision made, and the decision was made based on all the possible information that was. And now, after a while, we can take a step back and see like what's what. So, what was the problem? And the problem is right here. Yes, Starfield was the problem. If you don't recall, then I can remind you. Starfield came out at the beginning of September, and the time overlapped with initial Baldur's Gate 3 release date. It was 31st August. So literally a few days, and it's the same time. And you know what? At that time, what they did, they took a decision. The game was already delayed a few times, and they said like, hey, we're gonna make it 1 month earlier. 4 weeks earlier, we are releasing for you guys so you can play. So, there was no huge backlash or nothing. The game was loved from the day one. So let's take a look. Now we need to exercise this thing called philosophy, right? Because we're going down the path, what if things went differently? And that's what I want to exercise today. Is we are looking at Baldur's Gate, and you see the game runs pretty strong. Now at the time of recording, which is 9th of June, it just fell off of top 15 Steam played games. So it's absolutely huge. It's way more than half a year. How many months? A lot of them. And the game was still played by many players, right? That's one thing. But what we need to take a look is also this thing. Yes, it's called Starfield. So what happened with Starfield? The food for thought and thought process was like this. Starfield is well-known Bethesda Software's game, right? It was also long-awaited. It's supposed to be and was thought to be absolutely huge. So obviously, for the guys like Larian Studios, that is way smaller, also loved and known for their awesome work, but with a lot of postponed the launch dates and everything, it was like small studio versus huge Starfield. But you know what? Let's take a look. We have a September 4th, the release week, and if we take a look 4 weeks later, on October, the amount of players that still play this game is 3 times less. It's 100,000 only. If you take a comparison, then of course Baldur's Gate started way stronger, huge number, 875,000. But take a look what's happening after August. When we take a look at September, it's still way more. It doesn't drop as much because the game is way longer. Also, we can see that there's a page that's called how long to beat. On average, if you take a median, that's the number we were going for. All playstyles together, the median, it's 107 hours. Where Starfield, guess what? Also a pretty lengthy game if you're going for completionist and everything. But on average, from all the players, we have 60 hours. So I'm thinking, and my thought process, like, if there was two games launching at the same time, right? And then way bigger, longer game is faster releasing, it will eventually overlap with Starfield, right? And I don't know if that can be attributed to any of this graph, because you see here this huge drop from September 7th, because on September 6th was released. There is a drop where probably the players jumped on the Starfield and whatnot. But my thinking is simple. I need to add one more evidence to my idea what went wrong is this. I know there's a lot of numbers and everything, but I basically updated the same document I had before. Let me see if I can increase pulse off. Okay, let me try to squeeze it in. Yes. So what it is simple. This is when Baldur's Gate released in chronicle order up to today, hotfix 25. All the names, because there are patches also marked, and I just simply calculated how many lines of entries they have in the fix. And you know what? I stay strong, and there's no corrections needed. So what happens is I already released one video where I took a look. They had to fix 1,474 things in the month that they actually released sooner. So, and then I'm just curiously looking forward. There's also the line that fix per day. The longer the game is out there, the last fixes are really small, minor, bug fixes and tweaks and whatnot. And this graph also represents actually the same. But what I'm going for is, instead of releasing Baldur's Gate 1 month earlier, what they should do is 1 month after. Because if we just take a look at pure numbers, again, this is different reality that we are not living in. And it was supposed to go out on August, so at that point there was already patch 2. We have already 1,718 things fixed. But if we add 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks later, let's say on the same October, let's say October 3rd, small patches, nothing. The funny thing is, in those 2 months, first 2 months, that one is pushed out 1 month earlier, and then one post-launch. Oh, my green line is empty. Okay, now I see. Anyways, we have the absolute number. In the first 2 months, there was 3,343 fixes. You know what it means? More than half. In first 2 months, Larian Studio were pushing, rushing, fixing, updating. Thanks to them, the game is amazing, but the game could release later, not sooner. They had already postponed. They already said like, hey, game will come out when it's ready, right? They had absolutely stated it, and in my opinion, they should held that until the end. Because when it came close to Starfield, it was like hit or miss. No one knew. Not me, not you, no one knew. So they took an educated guess and said, oh, come on, let's push it out. We get those patches and everything and hotfixes and we'll be fine. But at least we will not competing with Starfield. What happened, of course, I can close this graphic. They ended up still battling, still overlapping with Starfield, because sooner or later. And from now, of course, we know that actually the Starfield was flop. It was, they are still pushing, they're still doing things, but look how many players still played on October, on my now suggested day of release for Baldur's Gate. 100, merely 100,000. And now at this moment, if Baldur's Gate came out with that 875,000, this would just flop right away. You see, it's nothing. So I know. I'm not saying anything. I'm just philosophing about the things that might have been. Unfortunately or not unfortunately, it went as it went, and still the game is huge hit. But what went wrong, in my opinion, it was still rushed, and now we know, and especially in gaming industry where AAA studios like Starfield, like Bethesda, are absolutely not worth it. The games they release is just pushed and soulless nothing. So now, even more than ever and before, around the time we are talking about, we know that AA studios have way better. It's not always true, but if developers put heart and soul in the game and they make what they love and love what they make, then these absolute masterpieces come out. This is, at the end, you probably have another opinion on this. Let me know. Like, another I can just throw out, like, with this huge success story that Baldur's Gate 3 is, they could release anything, regardless of anything. Like, they already made pretty decent game at the point. Yes, I was one of the unfortunate that had time to play through the game, and this what was the name, chapter 3, not chapter, episode, how they call it was quite a mess. There was a lot of bugs they had to improve. Like, the first part of the game was amazing. Act 3. Act 2 already went a little bit with some problems, but anyways. So what I'm saying is, let's take a look again at this graph. The biggest and huge, absolutely highest number of things fixed was still in September. It was so early. Now in November there was bigger patch, and the latest huge patch 6 was in January. So we already, like, August, September, October, November, December, the 5 months, which is okay. Again, all those fixes, I'm gonna drop all the links and everything. I have pasted them out. I have calculated. I have deleted the lines. There are so many things. Just a fun fact: hotfix 7 is not on their page. You can only find it in Steam post, which is, I find it just funny, Anyways, and you can check for yourself, and yeah, this line, it still comes down to 25 fixes per day at this moment, because just the sheer amount of fix lines in the patch notes, 6,271. Sorry, English is not my native language, you know that. So yes, there's quite a lot of things to fix, and they have already fixed. And just a last touch on all of it, they are not even done. The fun fact is, patch 7 is supposed to be coming out on September, so now it's June, all July, and as far as I can tell, there's a huge notes and everything. Not notes, just the tips, and the official modding toolkit will come out. So that the modding itself will be huge release, which is absolutely loved. But again, it could be already sooner or later. We don't know. I'm just saying, if anything can be said about what could be different, maybe better, what went wrong, I'd say they shouldn't kneel. They should come back after Starfield. Maybe not. Let me know your thoughts, questions, anything. I am still waiting and thinking when to jump back in the game, because I stopped playing when I encountered those bugs and glitches, which were not fixed right after release. The game is loved, don't get me wrong. The game is still huge, thanks to Larian Studios. Now we know that AA studios and such a love creators are way more important than those triple name. They mean nothing to us anymore, right? Thanks for watching, guys. Questions, suggestions, comments, always welcome, and we'll meet in other videos. Cheers.